Andy Katz here for March Madness and NCAA.com with a look at my new bracket. You're allowed to do this when your old bracket is essentially trashed. So I only had one Final Four team left, the team that I still think will win the national championship. So what we wanted to do here was create a new bracket, Sweet 16 on. So you can hold me to this one, maybe more than the last one. Let's start in the West. Gonzaga taking on Creighton. So Creighton's going to want to run with the Zags, and that's a bad idea because the teams that have done that this season, they can't keep up. Now, Creighton has multiple scores like the Zags, but they don't have enough. And Creighton has really lacked consistency this season. They're starting to play well now in this tournament, but it was only a week or so ago that they got blasted by Georgetown in the Big East tournament title game. So, going with the Zags, they advance to the Elite Eight. USC, Oregon. This is going to be one of my favorite games of the Sweet 16. The Trojans did beat Oregon earlier in the season. Both teams offensively are playing at a season high. And Oregon definitely has the size to deal with USC. Ultimately, I just like the way USC is playing a little bit better, a little bit more experience, certainly on the perimeter. I'm going with the Trojans to advance to the Elite Eight. Now let's go down to the East. Michigan taking on Florida State in the Sweet 16. Michigan has now learned how to play without Isaiah Livers. Eli Brooks has stepped up offensively. Mike Smith has done a phenomenal job at the point. Florida State, defensively, they locked down Colorado. The difference with this Florida State team, though, is they're not as good offensively, and I think that's going to be a problem against Michigan. So I've got the Wolverines advancing to the Elite Eight. UCLA, Alabama. The Bruins trying to go from first four to Final Four, kind of like VCU did a few years ago. Alabama is playing at an all-time offensive clip. They have so many weapons, led by Herb Jones, the SEC Player and Defensive Player of the Year. UCLA's offense is starting to really click with Jaime Jaquez and Johnny Juzang. Tiger Campbell's assist-to-turnover ratio is solid. But Alabama has just been too good offensively. As good as UCLA could be defensively, I'm going with the Crimson Tide. So we've got Michigan, USC, Alabama, and Gonzaga. That's that left side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket, Baylor, Villanova. The Baylor guards of Maceo Teague, Adam Flagler, Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, This is a group of four that are as good as any, if not better than any quartet in this NCAA tournament. No Colin Gillespie hurts Villanova, especially in this game. They've been able to adjust, no question about it. They've got options, but I just think Baylor's got too many. And Villanova's going from playing Winthrop and North Texas to Baylor. That's a big jump. JV to varsity. I like the Bears. Arkansas, Oral Roberts. Arkansas beat Oral Roberts in December. Can they do it again? Yes. As much as I love Max Asmus and Kevin O'Banner, Arkansas, defensively, I think will do a good job like they did on Asmus back in December. And then, for the Hogs, offensively, they're playing really well right now. So I'm leaning Arkansas in what I think will be a better game than people think. Loyola Chicago against Oregon State. So it's funny, Oregon State's the Cinderella in this matchup, not Loyola Chicago. What Porter, Mosier, and the Ramblers do so well is they take your best player and take him out, and now you got to beat him with someone else. And I think they'll do that to Ethan Thompson. Cameron Krutwig is playing as well as any player in this tournament. Lucas Williamson defensively, they're making shots. I got Loyola advancing. Syracuse, Houston. So Dejan Giroux has been playing with a hip pointer. It's not 100%. That's going to be a factor of trying to chase those Syracuse shooters. Trying to beat that zone, you got to make shots and get inside. That's a problem for Houston potentially. I think Buddy Boeheim's just going to keep it going. I like Syracuse advancing. So now we have Baylor, Arkansas, Loyola Chicago, Syracuse. Let's go to the Elite Eight. Gonzaga, USC. High-flying game, up and down. But once again, the Zags have too much offensively. They're just clicking at a level we haven't seen in years. Really, back to Villanova 2018. That's a good comparison offensively. So the Zags advance past USC. Michigan, Alabama. This is where I think Michigan's defense comes into play. Defensively, they were so strong throughout the course of the season. And so I think this is where Alabama runs into a little bit of a brick wall. I thought Maryland would be able to do a better job defensively. They did not. The difference is they've got a little bit more size and strength on Michigan. So I think the Big Ten gets its Final Four team. Gonzaga, Michigan. Other side, Baylor, Arkansas. Two old rivals from the Southwest days. Well, once again, I think Baylor's guards rule the day here. And they will be better than Arkansas, which is leaning heavily on a swing guy in Justin Smith. So I got Baylor advancing to the Final Four. Loyola, Syracuse. This is the bracket that blew up once Illinois lost. Loyola Chicago has the team to beat the zone because of Crutwig, his passing, his ability to hit the mid-range shot. He's going to be the difference inside to beat that zone. And I think Loyola Chicago gets to the Final Four for the second time in the last 4 years. Very similar. Jalen Brunson went 2016, 2018. Cameron Crutwig is going in 2018, 2021. That's what I see. So now we have Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, Loyola Chicago. So I should have gone with this at the beginning. I don't know why, because I thought that Baylor wasn't whole yet in terms of post-pause. But I've got a Gonzaga-Baylor national championship game. I just think, once again, Gonzaga's offense, where Michigan can defend them, I think this will be too hard for them, ultimately. And I got the Zags on a mission getting in the championship game. Baylor, Loyola, Chicago, while Crutwig can be a factor inside, the four guards are going to dominate that position. So I've got a Gonzaga-Baylor matchup, the one we all wanted, the one that was supposed to happen in December in Indy. Well, now, instead of at Bankers Life, it's going to be at Lucas Oil Stadium. Baylor's not undefeated. Gonzaga is. It's going to be a great game. I'm predicting a game in probably like an 85-80 matchup. But ultimately, I got to go with who I picked at the beginning of the season. So I got to get this right. Zags. Gonzaga beats Baylor in an epic final to win Gonzaga's first national championship and to be the first team since the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers to go undefeated and win the national championship. So that's my new bracket. We'll see how I do.